Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and county assemblies for the welfare of society and just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of your trust in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberations in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our county and of those whose interest you have committed to our church. Amen. Clerk, can you take us through the order of the day?
Order paper number 238 of today, Wednesday, 25th September 2024 at 2:30 p.m. Order number 1, administration of oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, Honorable Regina, you have the authority of the speaker to settle. Kindly settle. Honorable members, there's a reminder from the Committee of Sports that you do train for the coming CASA Games. Kindly oblige. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Honorable Ruben Rakwach.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to request for a statement on the mosquito invasion in Kolua East and other wards within Kisumu East Sub-County. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 41-2B to seek a comprehensive statement from the Chairperson of the Committee of Medical Services, Public Health and Sanitation regarding the ongoing mosquito invasion affecting Kolua East and the surrounding wards within Kisumu East Sub-County. Honorable Speaker, the residents of Kolua East as well as other wards within Kisumu East Sub-County and even Kisumu County at large have raised grave concerns over unprecedented increase in mosquito populations. This surge has resulted in heightened incidences of mosquito-borne diseases such as malaria, which pose severe health risk to our communities. The lack of clear communication from the Department of Medical Service, Public Health and Sanitation on measures being undertaken to address this urgent situation has only exacerbated public anxiety. In light of these concerns, Honorable Speaker, I request that the chairperson tables before this Honorable House the following information. 1, a detailed report outlining the extent and scope of mosquito invasion across Kolois and other affected wards within Kisumu East Sub-County and Kisumu County at large. This should include mapping of the most affected areas, mosquito density surveys, and identification of possible breeding sites contributing to the surge. Number 2, a comprehensive health impact assessment detailing the rise in cases of mosquito-borne diseases such as malaria, dengue fever, and chikungunya within the affected regions. This should include the number of cases reported in local health facilities over the past 6 months, any recorded fatalities, demographic information on the affected populations, such as age and gender, and comparison with previous years to determine the scale of the outbreak. Number 3, description of all current interventions being undertaken by the Department of Health to control the mosquito population and prevent further transmission of diseases. This should include specific details on 1, the frequency and coverage of fumigation, exercise, or other vector control measures. 2, the distribution and accessibility of treated mosquito nets to vulnerable population, especially pregnant women, children under 5, and the elderly. And public awareness campaigns and community engagement activities aimed at educating residents on mosquito control and personal protection measures. Number 4, information on any additional mosquito control programs or activities planned by the Department of Health, including their scope, objectives, and timelines for implementation. This should cover A, scheduled fumigation and larviciding activities, including start and end dates, targeted locations, and anticipated outcomes. B, plans for environmental management, such as clearing stagnant water, draining swamps, and removing debris that serve as breeding grounds for mosquitoes. And C, measures to enhance the capacity of local health facilities to manage and treat mosquito-borne diseases, including availability of diagnostic kits, medicines, and trained personnel. Number 5, details of any collaborations with the Ministry of Health, National Malaria Control Program, World Health Organization, and governmental organizations, or any other relevant bodies aimed at controlling the mosquito population and mitigating the spread of diseases. This should also include any funding or technical assistance being received to support these efforts. Number 6, an overview of the resources allocated to tackle the mosquito invasion, including the specific budgetary provisions made by the Department of Health, personnel deployed, equipment procured, and any additional funding needs identified to effectively manage the crisis. Number 7, a critical evaluation of past mosquito control interventions within Kisumu East Sub-County and their outcomes. This should include an analysis of what has worked, what has not, and the lessons learned that will inform future strategies to ensure more effective mosquito control. Number 8, an outline of any initiatives to involve local communities in mosquito control efforts, such as organizing community cleanup campaigns, distributing educational materials, and providing training on preventive measures. Details should also be provided on how the community's feedback and concerns are being incorporated into the county's overall strategy to combat this public health threat. Number 9, Honorable Speaker, information on the mechanisms in place for continuous monitoring of mosquito population and diseases incidents in the affected areas. This should include the establishment of any data collection and reporting systems, frequency of updates, and the dissemination of this information to the public to enhance transparency and accountability. These details are crucial to ensure that residents of Kolua East, Kisumu East Sub-County, and Kisumu County at large are adequately protected from the adverse health impact of the mosquito invasion. A clear and transparent account of the measures being taken will also help build public trust in the county's effort to address this pressing issue. Honorable Speaker, you realize sometimes we say that prevention is better than cure. And I think all this plea, if at all we can have a coordinated effort to ensure that the population of mosquito is reduced.
Honorable Rakwach, you've raised a statement. Are you debating on your statement?
I'm strengthening, I'm not debating.
Statements are raised as they are. So you've raised a statement. Honorable Rakwach, resume your seat. Honorable members, a statement has been sought by Honorable Rakwach. Before I seek for the opinion or response of the chairperson, Community Health and Medical Services, there seems to be a looming malaria epidemic in Kisumu East. So I just want to give 5 minutes to members, starting with members from Kisumu East, to say a word on this, because there seems to be a very dangerous situation in Kisumu East. Raised on the statement, order members, I just want to give us 5 minutes. I have the statement, but Kisumu East has been mentioned. I come from Kisumu East. I can see members from Order, Honorable Seth. I know you are a member of the Health Committee. You will have your time.
That's not what I wanted to bring to your attention. Just wanted to bring to your attention that on the seat, you are now the speaker, who is very impartial. So if you want to serve the interest of Kisumu East, then you better sit this side, then we proceed, because we won't be impartial in judgment.
Order, Honorable Seth. Order, Honorable Seth.
Because
Order, Honorable Seth. Honorable members, the statement reads, the residents of Kolua East, as well as other wards within Kisumu East Sub-County. That is the statement.
Madam Speaker, allow us
Order, honorable members. What are you using on? Order, Honorable Lumumba, order. Order, Honorable Achele, order. Honorable members,
Madam Speaker.
Seems there's a lot of interest in this issue. Chair, Health, Community Services, do you have a response to this statement? Honorable Chair, if you don't have the chair, I saw the deputy chair somewhere. Order, Honorable Lumumba. Order, Honorable Lumumba. Are you a member of the Health Committee? Order, Honorable Lumumba. Order. Order, Honorable Lumumba. Order. Order, Honorable Alice. Honorable members, a statement has been sought from the chairperson, Committee on Medical Services. In the absence of the chair, we ask that any member of the Health Committee.
Thank you so much, Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Honorable, I'm giving you your time. Honorable members, on a statement, we are allowed to give short comments, especially if you feel the statement concerns you and your electorate. I gave a chance to, I'm not giving directions, I gave a chance to those members coming from Kisumu East and other areas where we have mosquito bites. Honorable Lumumba, kindly, what is the hurry, Honorable Lumumba? Honorable Lumumba, resume your seat. Honorable Lumumba. Order, Honorable Lumumba, resume your seat. Honorable Lumumba, you are not going to direct me how to... yes, Honorable Lumumba. So kindly... can you have some patience, Honorable Lumumba? So, honorable members, remember we have up to 3. So, do we have anyone who wants to comment on this report, on this statement, before I ask the members from the Health Committee, because I cannot see the chair, to give a response if they have on this? Honorable Seth is a member of the Health Committee, and I can see a lot of interest on this statement. So I will start. Honorable Alice, I have noticed you. Kindly resume your seat. Honorable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I know it is statements time and it is running to 1 hour. And Madam Speaker, traditionally and legally, when a statement, any statement is sought of this nature, Madam Speaker, then before you notice any member on the floor, it is the wisdom of the chair to first give that opportunity to the chair of concerned committee member or any member of that committee in the House before any comment is made on the House, Madam Speaker. That should be the order. And Madam Speaker, it is sad that you are trying to give direction, and some of us are also affected by mosquito the same way.
Honorable members, you realize that this statement seems to have a lot of interest. I was giving an opportunity to other members before I could give it to the chair health, because when he will be giving his response, then that response ought to cover even the concerns of other members. So this is why I'm saying that, do we have members, now that it is not a Kisumu East affair, any members who have issues or concerns on the same statement? Honorable Alice Wajera.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to contribute on the statement on mosquito. I just want to mention that it is not only in Kisumu East where mosquito is a problem. I happen to be staying in three wards. One of them is Chemelil, another one is Koru, another one is Nyalenda. But mosquito is everywhere, and it is a very, very big problem. I always buy a lot of mosquito repellent.
Honorable Alice,
Yes?
I just want to bring to attention the fact that we are limited.
Okay.
By 3, we should be done. So kindly 1 minute,
I'm
summarize.
finishing. It is a problem anywhere, everywhere, Madam Speaker. So I just want to request that the Department of Health should give it a priority, because long time ago, I used to see them spraying mosquito repellent, even in Milimani here and the areas where we are staying. So, and I understand that in other counties like Migori, they also spray the mosquito repellent. I wish they could do the same in Kisumu County. It is a big problem. Even if you go to the supermarket, each and every person buys mosquito repellent.
Summarize, Honorable Wajera.
Thank you so much. It is a problem, and I agree with the statement. And the Department of Health, Committee of Health should take this matter seriously. Thank you so much.
Honorable James Omolo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to concur with my colleague. You know, mosquitoes don't know boundaries. I don't know whether they know this is Kolwa Central, Kolwa East, or Kisumu Central, Kisumu East, Kisumu West. Mosquito menace is within this area of Nyanza, and that is a fact. All the counties neighboring the lake basin, all of them are prone to these insects. And I think as a department, maybe when the chair will be responding, what we should really do as a county is to do the sprays, which they have been doing underfunded project by the USAID. It has been for the Migori, Kisumu, Siaya, and Homa Bay. And I think for a while, it has taken a while when the sprays have not been done in these counties, and that's why it is really causing havoc across. It is not a matter of Kolwa East or Central or Kisumu East. It is a matter that touches the entire county. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable member, the statement had to originate from somewhere. Yes, Honorable Regina.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to make a contribution on the statement made by Honorable Rakwach. You find that in Kisumu County, based on the warm climate that we have here, and also the water body that is Lake Victoria, we are highly infested with mosquitoes. So I don't think it's just a matter of Kisumu East alone. We should address this issue as a matter of county. Every ward is suffering from this, so kindly let us all be involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kizito. I saw Honorable Peter Obaso, then we hand it over to the chair, Health. In the absence of the chair, any member of the Health Committee. Yes, Honorable Obaso.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me concur with my fellow members. And I just want to say that most of our ward is adjacent to Lake Victoria and other water bodies. And so it's an obvious thing that whenever there is stagnated water, then obviously there will be mosquitoes there. So it's a matter of the that is a concern for all the wards. So I think it should be an issue for the county, and it should be addressed. Thank you.
Well, Moses Ochele.
Thank you once again, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is good that the matter has been raised by a honorable member in this house and a honorable member who resides in the great county called Kisumu. Honorable Speaker, the mosquito menace is a very sensitive and crucial matter not just to the particular ward mentioned, but it is a menace in the county. Madam Speaker, that is why the UZ had to come down to distribute nets. The nets were distributed to a number of households. And Madam Speaker, before the Department of Health in this country responds, then I think us as leaders, sometimes when we are given certain tools to be used for a particular path, Madam Speaker, we should ensure that we use them for that. Madam Speaker, many households, each household was getting at least 2 nets, mosquito nets. Madam Speaker, walking around the estates and villages, you realize that these nets have been converted to fences, fencing kitchen gardens. In my area, they use them for protecting seedlings, and some use them for various means, Madam Speaker. The number one thing as leaders, we should sensitize our people on the best practices on using commodities which is geared towards protecting their health. Number two, Madam Speaker, as the acting chair health will respond, the vice chair, Madam Speaker, I propose an amendment to the statement that it does not read Kolua East and by extension Kisumu East, but it reads it so that when the government comes out to respond, it does not respond in isolation. It responds that the citizens of the county are suffering from mosquito, and then the remedy should be remedy covering the entire county. And therefore, Madam Speaker, with that proposal, I call upon Honorable Johnson Molo, this second.
Order, Honorable. Order. Order. But you're allowed to do a rejoinder and forward it to the committee on health. You're allowed to do a rejoinder to the statement and forward to the committee of health, so that when they bring a report, your views shall have been included in that report.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the advice, but I feel me to find one that and to debate alone.
Bring an amendment at this point. Honorable Ochele, you propose an amendment and called upon Honorable James Omolo to second.
Madam Speaker, if this is the trend in this house, then I think nobody will be debating. And I'll appreciate members if they don't turn up. And that's why we normally have quorum HS. If you
Honorable Ochele, you're being advised that you cannot bring amendments on the floor, but you are allowed as a member to do a reminder and send to the committee. That is not gagging, Honorable Ochele. That is the procedure. You stand advised. Honorable Ochele advised, and that is the position. Honorable Chair, Health. Honorable Leader of Majority. Which standing order are you rising on? Which standing order, Honorable Lumumba? Which says, can you quote order number 89, 189?
Amin, Dada.
Order, Honorable Lumumba. Order, Honorable Lumumba. Honorable Lumumba, you are out of order.
Madam Speaker, Amin.
You are out of order, Honorable Lumumba. Honorable Lumumba, you are out of order. Sergeant at Arms. Sergeant at Arms. What did you say, Honorable Lumumba? Honorable Lumumba, you may be the deputy majority, but we can throw you out. You don't be out of order just because you are a majority leader. We've given directives, and the directives remain, Honorable Lumumba. Honorable Deputy Chair, Health. A statement has been sought.
Madam Speaker, I have not contributed over this issue.
Honorable Whip, kindly resume your seat. I'm giving you a chance. Honorable members, we are past statement hour by 4 minutes. And that is why I gave a few members, order members, that is why I gave a few members to give comments on the statement before I hand it over to the chairperson, Health. So unless Honorable Chief Whip, it's really burning and it's on the statement, then I give you an opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to comment on the statement, but on a wider range. Madam Speaker, being aware that the mosquito menace is a tropical disease, not a disease confined to Kolwa East Ward. And I beseech the member who brought this statement to think wide, or I plead with the committee to look at the statement in a wider range, being aware that Kisumu County is an agricultural area whereby we do a lot of irrigation, especially in the areas of lower basins of Nyando. That is aero irrigation scheme, West Kano irrigation schemes, and other schemes in Muroni and other parts of Nyakach, especially the areas where the Honorable Moses Ochele represents. Madam Speaker, the breeding areas of mosquitoes I believe, are in the right schemes. So confining these statements to Kolwa East, which I believe other areas in Kolwa East, there are a lot of irrigation going on in those areas. So I beseech the committee to look at mosquito as a menace in Kisumu County as a whole, especially the lower basins of Nyando, where there are a lot of flood waters and irrigation schemes, without looking at the issue of irrigation schemes where insecticides should be sprayed in those areas. I think we will not be. It will help the entire Kisumu County. So, Madam Speaker, I beseech the committee to look at this issue in a wider range so that we can deal with the mosquito issue. But not only Kisumu County alone, but the neighboring counties too, like the Homa Bay County, Sia County, and even Migori County, as far as large tea schemes in Kericho, Madam Speaker. But Madam Speaker, I also beseech you to sometimes allow members to debate, because we are paid to speak legislation, speak oversight, and speak every matter pertaining to our county, not necessarily the confines of our wards, but our county. Madam Speaker, I beg, those are my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Whip. Honorable members, I want to give this to the Chair Health. I can see the Deputy Chair Health to respond on the statement.
Madam Speaker, I came in a little late and I found people talking about mosquito. So I'm still trying to catch up and get to know what exactly the mosquitoes have done. So I'll donate my time to Honorable Seth.
Honorable Seth Okumu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, just to bring to speed my brother, my sister, Honorable Emily, the mosquitoes are biting people in in Kolwa East. And they mandated their representative to come and bring statement before the House so that he gets explanation to go back and tell them why mosquitoes are biting them. So that's what the mosquitoes have done. Honourable members, going by the statements, as a member of the Health Committee, I agree that mosquito has been a problem in Kisumu City. It's not only now, Kisumu County, I mean, and the whole of the Lake Basin. And I want to agree that if there is an increase in the number of mosquitoes, especially the ones that transmit diseases, not all mosquitoes transmit diseases, but if there's an increase on the ones that transmit diseases, then just like he has mentioned, there will be an increase in communicable diseases around the place. But just to explain to some of the questions he has asked, why there are high numbers of mosquitoes in this region? If we didn't know, then we are coming from the lake region with the largest freshwater body and also the warmest climate, which is the most suitable place for breeding of mosquitoes. And I think from his ward, Kolwa East, that's where we get Nyamthoi. I think it's called Nyamthoi, the biggest tract of land. And I think it was recently it was infested with a lot of water and they couldn't plant anything on it. And those are good breeding sites for mosquitoes. Madam Speaker, the questions that are raised and the timelines that we are given in this assembly to respond to some of those questions, to me, make some of these questions obsolete. And some of them just want extensive research for you to report anything to this House. One of the questions was to bring to this House the mosquito density surveys. Mosquito density surveys. I'm looking at the maximum time frame we are given in this House of 21 days. Actually, it's 14 days for statements. And for you to do something like that, Madam Speaker, you will agree with me that it requires much more time and much more resources. So as we bring statements in this House, I know they have to start from somewhere, but some of the questions we might not be able to answer given the 14 days that we have been mandated by the standing order. We will be able to answer a few of the concerns raised by the honorable member, but some of the questions that he has raised, like the one I have just mentioned, we might not be able to answer, maybe even in a year's time. Honorable members, you agree with me. I know it's important, and I want to agree with the department to be bringing to speed members. We just did, as Kisumu County, mass distribution of mosquito nets. This was being done because we had recognized that there was infestation of mosquitoes, and that's one of the preventive ways of reducing the bites from the mosquitoes. But just like my brother said, that the government is giving out mosquitoes as a preventive measure, and community members are using those for other duties unrelated to mosquito prevention. So I also want to implore on members that as we do mosquito prevention, we should help the department with health education and sensitization to members of the public, so that they know that it's the responsibility of all of us to prevent mosquito bites, especially those that are transmitting diseases. Madam Speaker, lastly, the honourable member happens to be a member of the Budget Committee, and he is questioning resource allocation towards the same. I believe this is the House where we do appropriation, and we just passed a budget that we're just about to implement. And I think, being a member of the Budget Committee, to me sometimes I find it ironical that we again ask to be told how much we have allocated, where we are supposed to be appropriating those monies for prevention. And all we should be asking right now is, we did appropriate money for spraying of mosquitoes or for fumigation of particular areas, and what are they doing? But right now we are asking how much has been allocated, and yet the budget originates in this assembly. Some of those questions, Madam Speaker, I find ironical that sometimes it will be hard for us to get answers to them. Madam Speaker, those are my comments on this statement right now, and I want to implore on you to allow us only pick on questions that we can answer as a committee within the mandated time frame of 14 days that's provided for in the standing orders. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Member for the Chair, you have 14 days to respond to the questions, but in the event that the committee is unable to do all that is listed here, then you have an opportunity to present a progress report as you wait to do other things. So within 14 days, present your report, but then you can also give a progress report on other areas that you shall have not finished with by the time you present your reports. Thank you. Next order.
Commencement of business. Order number 8, motion. Approval of semi-autonomous status of the city of Kisumu by the Honorable Ratib Boyton.
Honorable Boyton.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to move a motion on approval of semi-autonomous status of the city of Kisumu. Madam Speaker, aware that Article 184 of the Constitution of Kenya provides for the governance and management of urban areas and cities through the Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011. Further aware that Section 20 and 21 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011 empowers county government to transfer certain functions and powers to city or municipal boards for efficient service delivery and urban management. Cognizant that the county government of Kisumu, via Gazette Notice number 6298 dated 15th April 2024, transferred specific functions and powers to Kisumu City Board, thereby creating the need to operationalize and give effect to the functions and powers of the city board as listed herein. That is attached in the report. The Gazette Notice is also attached in the report. Madam Speaker, further cognizant that the functions that have been transferred to the Kisumu City Board includes A, promotion, regulation, and provision of refuse collection and solid waste management services. B, promotion and provision of water and sanitation services, excluding areas served by the water and sanitation provider. C, construction and maintenance of urban roads and associated infrastructure. D, construction and maintenance of storm drainage and flood controls. E, construction and maintenance of walkways and other non-motorized transport infrastructure. And F, construction and maintenance of recreational parks and green spaces. G, construction and maintenance of street lighting. H, construction, maintenance, and regulation of traffic controls and parking facilities. I, construction and maintenance of bus stands and taxi stands. And the number continues. J, regulation of outdoor advertising. K, construction and maintenance and regulation of city markets and abattoirs. L, construction and maintenance of fire stations. M, provision of firefighting services, emergency preparedness and disaster management. N, promotion, regulation and provision of cultural activities. O, promotion, regulation and provisions of animal control and welfare. And P, development and enforcement of the city plans and development control. Q, city administration services, including construction and maintenance of administrative offices. And R, promoting and undertaking infrastructure development and services within the city. S, pollution, that is water, air, noise, and soil control. And finally, T, any other function that may be delegated by the county government. Madam Speaker, recognizing that the Kisumu City Board requires semi-autonomy to effectively perform this transferred function in order to enhance service delivery, foster accountability, and promote good governance. Again, acknowledging that the establishment of the Kisumu City Board as a semi-autonomous body will ensure that the residents of Kisumu City receive timely and efficient services while also promoting local economic development and sustainable urban management. Now, therefore, I wish to give a notice of motion that this assembly resolves to 1. Approve and grant semi-autonomy status to Kisumu City Board as delineated in the Gazette Notice number 6298. 2. Mandate the County Executive Committee member responsible for Department of Lands, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development and Department of Finance and Economic Planning in consultation with all relevant stakeholders to facilitate the smooth transition of functions, assets, liability, and staff to Kisumu City Board and ensure all necessary frameworks are in place for the full operationalization of the City Board. 3. The county government, through the County Executive Committee member for Finance and Economic Planning, shall ensure the timely transfer of all funds allocated to the City Board in county-approved budgets. And number 4, direct Kisumu City Board to develop comprehensive policies, regulations, and guidelines to govern the provision of services within its jurisdiction in line with the powers and functions outlined in Gazette Notice number 6298. And lastly, Madam Speaker, 5, provide necessary oversight over the board's powers, functions, and responsibility to ensure transparency, accountability, and effective service delivery to the people of Kisumu City. Madam Speaker, I urge all honorable members of this assembly to support this motion. And at this juncture, Madam Speaker, allow me to call a seconder of this motion, Honorable Joachim Okage, MCA and Chairperson of Budget and Appropriation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Joachim.
Madam Speaker, I don't know why these members are looking at me, but I hope they know when city is mentioned, I had to be here. And this is not only a motion that just helps the city alone, but if you look at most of the important things that this motion brings are issues of accountability and improvement of service delivery, Madam Speaker. And again, Madam Speaker, you know the spirit of devolution is to transfer most of these functions down to the common mwananchi. And in the same spirit, Madam Speaker, aware that we already even have municipalities that are functioning, And even in our current budget, we did allocate some funds so that we operationalize these municipalities, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, in the same spirit, Madam Speaker, we not only want to improve on what we call accountability and service delivery, but again, Madam Speaker, Kisumu being a giant that is sleeping when it comes to on-source revenue. Personally, I believe that transfer of these functions probably will also help us increase in getting more revenue within the city. Because, Madam Speaker, when we transfer these functions to the city, in my own opinion, Madam Speaker, I believe that we should also attach some revenue preconditions so that in as much as the city is responsible for certain functions, it should also be very responsible for tapping in the sleeping revenue avenues within Kisumu County. And therefore, I believe that just the same way JOTRH is able to collect their own money, we gave them a budget of 650 million, and because they don't expect to get anything from what we get from the national government, they are able to create their own ways of tapping in money. They are able to run left, right to be able to collect the 650. And I also believe that when we transfer these functions to the city board, we should also attach certain revenue streams that the city should be able to collect on their own, so that they don't only depend on what we get from the national government, but they could also be able to collect some of these monies on their own, Madam Speaker. Again, Madam Speaker, we know how big Kisumu City is now, and we know how unique Kisumu County is. A county with a city and also the rural wards, Madam Speaker. I believe that when we hand these functions to a responsible city manager, then I believe they will be able to continue in the same spirit of a governor of making Kisumu clean and also ensure that certain services are improved within the city. I therefore call upon our members to support this motion, Madam Speaker. Let them ensure that we give city it is semi-autonomy. We are not trying to create another center of power, but we are just trying to create it as semi-autonomous so that we are able to improve on the service delivery to the people of Kisumu County. Madam Speaker, I stand to second. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, a motion on the approval of the semi-autonomous status of the city of Kisumu has been duly moved by Honorable Ratib, Chair Planning, seconded by Honorable Joachim Okech, Chairperson, Budget and Appropriation. And therefore, I want to propose a question that the report be open, the motion be open for discussion. Honorable Pamela Oyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to support the report. Madam Speaker, city is a very important function for the county. And from the city, we get the image of Kisumu County. And in this floor of this house, on the floor of this house, we have given the city a board to run the city. And when we give the city a semi-autonomy, I think the city will get authority to do their own work, to be responsible for what they are doing, and to increase their to be able to collect revenue, to allow them do the projects they need for the city. When they are given authority as semi-autonomous, and if it were me, I wish they would have brought a motion to make them autonomous so that they are able to be responsible for their function. Because the city has quite a number of functions. The city is able to increase the economic status of Kisumu County if they are given autonomy. And I want to support this motion to give city autonomy so that we can see what they can do. If they can increase in revenue collection, if they can increase in their function, if they can make their function better by being autonomous. Because devolution was brought to bring services closer to the people. If we give services to departments and make them responsible for the services they are doing, I think we are able to do much more than making things in one pot and ensuring that the services that they have been mandated to do.
Honorable members consult in Lawtons.
That the services they have been mandated to do, once they have been given authority to be responsible over those things, I think we'll get better services and we will see a cleaner city than what they are doing now. I stand to support.
Honorable Zachary Okoye.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also rise to support the motion. Madam Speaker, it's indeed long overdue to give the city of Kisumu semi-autonomy. Madam Speaker, it's just the other day when we created the various municipalities. And I believe the municipalities are ready to expand and to mandate their functions. Madam Speaker, this is the right time now to give Kisumu City Board more powers to operate and exercise what they can. Madam Speaker, I believe very soon we are going to go ask the Kisumu City or Kisumu County to have a 24-hour economy. And if we can agree on this, then we will have to start with the Kisumu City. And we will only do that if we will have given the semi-autonomy the board. Madam Speaker, giving Kisumu City semi-autonomy will also engage and commit more powers to the city board so that we can see what they can do and what they can exercise so that we know they are capable of handling the issues of Kisumu City. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I stand to support. Thank you.
Honorable Sami.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this report. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think the motion was overdue, and I want to concur with Honorable Koyo that, Madam Speaker, we can't have like a dark Europe, because of most of the time the Europe is dark, and when you call the city management, they will say that they don't have resources, Madam Speaker. So if we can give them semi-autonomy, Madam Speaker, again, there will be accountability, Madam Speaker, because now we will be dealing with the city board. Unlike now that everything has to happen from finance department, Madam Speaker. And again, there are so many things that has been done by the city. At times when you ask them, you don't get clear clarification or clear information, Madam Speaker, because they always don't have a direct mandate. They have to get mandate from the department, Madam Speaker. At times they have to get a mandate, even at times when there's a fire breakdown, Madam Speaker, even of late, all the fire brigades vehicles, I think all of them are stalled, Madam Speaker. And if you ask them, Madam Speaker, they're saying that they don't have money, Madam Speaker. So let us make a strong city. We make a bright city so that we we make a real Europe city, Madam Speaker. As we speak, Madam Speaker, at the moment, we have a Bonoko Europe, where there is no light, where there's no, there are no proper drainage system, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Sami, what is Bonoko?
Madam Speaker, a Bonoko is something which is there and is not there.
Okay. Continue.
So, Madam Speaker, I think this bill is overdue, Madam Speaker, and I support. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sami. It is a motion, not a report, nor a bill. Thank you. Honorable Komudo.
Many thanks, Honorable Speaker. Again, to fellow colleagues, it's a pleasure, a privilege this afternoon to rise in support of the motion in progress. Indeed, like my colleagues have said, the timing is long overdue. Honorable Speaker, together with the honorable members, I notice Kisumu sleeps quite early as compared to other major towns where Kisumu is counted in the league. Just the other day, a number of us were in Nakuru. I guess a majority would have seen the life in Nakuru. It goes on as a 24-hour economy. Honorable Madam Speaker, Kisumu shuts down very early, quite pretty early as 8:30 to 9, it's a ghost town. I want to believe that this has been contributed to because of the proper financial structure. The issue of now giving the city the status of the semi-autonomy shall bring some good life, is going to make us see the light of the day. And instead of these guys going to borrow and to beg some other department which are quite irrelevant in the process. They may be relevant, but they sound quite irrelevant when it comes to begging from the city coffers that should make the economy run as is required. Indeed, I support with this report. This was required next Saturday. Possibly, this may come along with the independence of the municipalities. The municipalities has become a lame duck, Honorable Speaker, together with colleagues. Probably something is going to be learned out of this process so that the municipalities where one of them I come from, Muhoroni Chemelil, is actually a lame duck as we speak, and nothing much happens there. It was started, we are yet to see anything good. You go to the center of the Muhoroni town, it is non-functional. There are huge potholes that you can't believe it is called a municipality. Probably when this thing has this direction, we are going to end up with some other meaningful divisions, meaningful progresses in different sectors relating to this. Once more, I support, and many things.
My eyes caught Honorable Ajumbo first. Honorable Rakwach, I've noticed you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand to support the motion on the floor of the House of giving the city board semi-autonomous. Madam Speaker, I would want to start by saying that Kisumu City is a city that comprises of 7 municipalities. And it is high time, Madam Speaker, that the city becomes independent, because you cannot go through, there are a lot of bureaucracies, Madam Speaker, when it comes to some of the things that they do at the board level. A lot of things are happening in this city. I want to concur with my fellow MCAs that you walk in this city at 7 p.m., the entire place is almost in darkness. And sometimes when you ask why the lights are not working, the street lights, you would be told that it has not been procured. And you know the procurement process is such a tedious and a long process that the board does not have independence to procure their own street lights so that they can light up the streets. So, Madam Speaker, this is a very good motion that we need to support it so that there'll be a lot of infrastructural development within the city. There'll also be service delivery that will also promote good governance, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is high time that we support this motion so that once the city becomes, the board becomes autonomous, then we can move to the municipality. As we speak, the municipalities, through the budget, they've been allocated some funds, but Madam Speaker, they cannot use the funds because they must get clearance from the central government, that is the executive. So it is high time that the board can be given some autonomy so that service can be improved, Madam Speaker. I stand to support. Thank you.
Honorable Rakwach.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise to thoroughly support the motion by Honorable Boyton. Honorable Speaker, I hope if at all this semi-autonomy status is given to our city, then it is going to spur development of this city, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, you realize that our city sometimes, there are some places at night which are dark at night. And now there is no clarity when it comes to provision of some of the services. When you talk about the street lighting, sometimes you will be told that the money was appropriated under the Department of Roads. When you go to the Department of Roads, you will be told that the money was given to the city. You go to the city, you are told the money is with the road, so you are taking down. But if at all we have the clear guidelines and we know the services that the city is going to provide and those ones which are left with the roads and their areas of jurisdictions, then I think it is going to be easier for us, even as the oversighting authority, Honorable Speaker, to develop comprehensive policies, regulations, and guidelines to govern the provision of services within its jurisdiction in line with powers. Honorable Speaker, I've tried to check, and I think we don't have a Kisumu City Act. The only thing that is there is Urban Cities and Urban Areas and Cities Act 2021 of Kenya, and we don't have Kisumu City Act. So I do propose that the city develops a bill so that we pass that bill, which will turn into an act, Kisumu City Act. That is when now the city board will do a regulation. They can only regulate an act in this county, but not a national act, Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, I support. Thank you.
Honorable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to support the motion. Madam Speaker, Kisumu City, being the headquarters of our county, and in fact the biggest city in Western Kenya, it is important that we get the best services for the people and even for our visitors. Madam Speaker, we need a responsible city. We need a transparent entity. We need a very accountable entity, because the city is going to be a pace setter for the municipalities which were created just some times back. Madam Speaker, it is important that all these municipalities can learn from the way the city is going to be managed, because it is a big brother, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the purpose for this, I understand, is for urban development and proper management. But the regulations must be put in place. I don't want to be a prophet of doom, Madam Speaker. We have had very good laws, very good regulations, but they are not being followed. Madam Speaker, if we put all the powers without a proper regulation and a proper laws governing what we are going to give to the city, we might not achieve what we want. Madam Speaker, I'm surprised that we have a revenue board. And this revenue board, its mandate is to collect revenue on behalf of the Kisumu County. Madam Speaker, I have a conflict of interest here. I've just noticed a conflict of interest where the city is also trying to come up with a way of collecting revenue through advertising by charging for the advertising and billboards, the parking fee and such kind of things. Madam Speaker, we should not create another entity which is going to fight the already created entities which are also legal, just like this one here. Madam Speaker, I sympathize with members like Sami who are in the city. At times, you find that there is a fire break in an area, and when the call is made to the relevant authority, the claim is there is no fuel. I think this, if we give the city this autonomy, semi-autonomy, it is going to be carrying out its activities. It will have its finances. Now we will have a foot now to blame the city. But for now, Madam Speaker, it must rely on our exchequer and the Department of Finance. Madam Speaker, we need to make sure that this semi-autonomous status takes place and it is operational. If we don't do that, Madam Speaker, we might fail with good regulations, but no action in place. I support, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Moses Achele.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think this motion is well thought by the city that they be given a semi-autonomous status. And Madam Speaker, with that wisdom, I realized today we have the de facto city manager with us. And that tells you the importance of this motion. Therefore, with due respect to the protocol.
Honorable Moses Achele, who is the de facto city manager in this house?
Madam Speaker, the de facto knows himself and is smiling at the corner. And he explained why he's here today. It's my chair budget. Madam Speaker, I think sometimes certain proposals come at the right time. City need to be properly managed without looking above beyond their shoulders as they are doing now. However, Madam Speaker, there are certain aspects of the law, legal procedures that ought to be understood by members, because we don't just pass things arguing that they are long overdue. If they are long overdue, do we follow the right procedure? That is my main concern with the motion, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if indeed the board was convinced that they were to request for this semi-autonomy, then I think they did a proposal. They did a proposal to the governor, through the county secretary to the cabinet, county cabinet. Madam Speaker, if their proposal indeed convinced the county cabinet, then the cabinet was to approve it, which I believe they did, and that is through a cabinet paper. And then, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, this cabinet paper was to be sent, the resolution of the cabinet was to be sent to this house in a way of motion as it has been done today. However, Madam Speaker, instead of bringing the resolution of the house to this, resolution of the cabinet to this house, Madam Speaker, they went ahead to gazette the functions that they have marked to give, to make autonomous the 20 functions which are therein. Madam Speaker, procedurally, this motion should have come before gazettement. And Madam Speaker, after the motion, then the motion is sent to the county government executive, and then now they gazette it. And upon gazetting, Madam Speaker, then they are now free to come up with a bill which will actually give authority to the city board to have that semi-autonomy that they're playing over. Madam Speaker, in this at this stage, Madam Speaker, I think these procedures have been floated. The motion has come almost at the tail end of the process. And us as a house, we are now kind of acting in retrospect, reversing, that is reverse legislation. It has been done, but now assembly is there, it has now to be brought back that we approve what has already been done. I think when I remember that is not the procedure. That procedure is quite wrong. And Madam Speaker, as was mentioned by Honorable Rakwach, we have Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011. And Madam Speaker, for us to domesticate our act, it is serious that the executive, not just the county, that the executive comes up with a bill. The most important, the most crucial bit of legislation at this stage is a bill, Madam Speaker, because they propose a number of functions. And for the 20 functions to be operationalized, they'll have to come up with regulations. These regulations, where will they be getting the regulations? The regulations must emanate from an existing act of this house, must be coming from an act of this assembly in form of Kisumu County City Board Act. Madam Speaker, if we leave it at this stage, that we've passed a motion, and we send this motion to the executive, I'm wondering how they'll come up with these regulations minus an act of the House. Madam Speaker, there are certain functions which they proposed. Madam Speaker, like the functions, the several functions among the 20, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, number one function which I'm wondering how they'll manage is this planning. We have a Department of Lands, Housing, Physical Planning, and Urban Development, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if they say that the CCM in charge of that docket transfers the planning department, Madam Speaker, we are rendering that CCM and his department irrelevant. Because, Madam Speaker, when you talk of land, the land in Kisumu County is the city. When you talk of revenue, the revenue of Kisumu County is the city. If all these are transferred to the city, we are rendering several functioning institutions of the government irrelevant. They will become moribund, Madam Chair. Madam Speaker, by transferring lands, you transfer physical planning, you transfer the assets as they play. Madam Speaker, kindly, members, urge me what will be left for the executive. And Madam Speaker, a board being what it is, this board will not be different from the board we have here. The board we call County Public Service Board. The moment we give them semi-autonomy, they'll be almost autonomous. You'll not be having a voice over them. And Madam Speaker, the moment they are given semi-autonomy, they'll be having powers to create what we call bylaws. Madam Speaker, they are allowed to make bylaws. The moment they start making their bylaws, this house will be very irrelevant. because bylaws are binding, just like the acts of this House. So, Madam Speaker, it is good we are surrendering that legislative bit to the city. We are kind of convincing ourselves that there is no need for having what we call Kisumu County Revenue Board. We are also convincing ourselves that we don't need to have this department called physical planning, lands, and urban development, because all these functions will be centered, domiciled at the city. I think we should give time for this motion. We should consult fund-wide and come up with what is best for this county. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Chief Whip.
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Chair is misleading the House. The prayers of the motions are very clear. The prayers of the motion is that the Honorable Boyton in his prayers urged the House to transfer powers within the jurisdiction of the city. Powers bestowed upon the Department of Physical Planning, Urban Development, Housing, within the city, not entirely. Madam Speaker, and the prayers of the motions are very clear. We are not trying to undermine the authority of the county, but we are just praying that the authority to transact issues of physical planning to do with markets be transferred to the city, within the city, not outside the jurisdiction of the city. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Chief Whip, Honorable Ochele, and the members. I believe you stand guided by that information. Honorable Ochele, you have a minute to conclude.
Madam Chair, I based my final, I believe, Honorable Whip, you don't have a problem with the procedure, legal procedure. There's a problem. And I hope when you will be contributing, kindly support me in that. Madam Speaker, I based my reasoning on prayer number 2. Prayer number 2, that mandate the county executive committee member responsible for Department of Lands, Physical Planning, Housing, Urban Development, and Finance, and Economic Planning, in consultation with all relevant stakeholders, to facilitate the smooth transition of functions, assets, liabilities, and staff to the Kisumu County City Board, and ensure all necessary frameworks are in place for the full parallelization of the City Board. Madam Speaker, in that alone, they have not indicated exclusions. And Madam Speaker, when we talk about housing, Kisumu County Housing Department, is there housing in East Kanawidi? We don't have. Is there housing in West Nyakach? Unless you talk of the houses which are being constructed now. But the houses that can generate revenue as we see it, it is all about the city. By hijacking these functions from the department, even if we assume the departments are still there, they'll be like dead dodos, Madam Speaker. Which function will be doing? When we talk of land, where does the county have land? Which lands can we physically count that this is county land, this is county land? They are all in the city. Madam Speaker, if we transfer this function of land, then that department is dead. Madam Speaker, when we talked of certain functions of revenue, why must we have 2 centers collecting revenue? Why should we have 2 functions collecting revenue? Then that will follow that we kill the existing revenue collectors. Then we allow others to proceed. Finally, Madam Speaker, we are just growing from the moribund county governments county councils. In Kisumu County, we had Moroni municipality, we had Nyanda municipality, we had Ahero municipality, we had Kisumu rural municipality, and we had municipality of Kisumu.
Your time is up, Honorable.
I'm just winding up, if you allow.
Kindly conclude.
And Madam Speaker, this trend, if we will proceed by giving semi-autonomy to the city, then it will be just logical to give all the existing municipalities that function. Then what will Kisumu County be left with? We are going back to what the Constitution of 2010 picked us from. We are going back to the then county councils. All of us will be councillors by our making, by choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ochele. Honorable members, it is worth noting that through acts like FIF, the health department is allowed to collect funds that they use within them. In agriculture, facilities are also allowed to collect. So there is nothing that we should fear that if autonomy is given to the city, then they'll be able to collect their fund. As long as there's a legislation allowing them to collect those funds within the jurisdiction of the city, then I don't think there is a need to fear. Honorable James Omolo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this motion. Madam Speaker, the scriptures of those who suggested devolution, they really wanted it to go deep in the grassroots. And I believe that giving cities some autonomy is a way of giving the grassroots that kind of devolved functions. And I think the functions are very specific in the prayers, and I don't see anything wrong with doing that. It will increase efficiency in terms of every service that is really within the city jurisdiction. And Madam Speaker, when we talk about the city, it's very distinct. It's really specific where and how, because even the markets you've seen in the gazettement, but it is very specific on specific markets and specific spaces within the Kisumu County government. So it's not ambiguous. We have boundary of the city, and if this is gonna increase efficiency, so be it, and that is to the best interest of this county. Madam Speaker, there is too much bureaucracy in terms of everything centralized at the executive side. So this will really give leeway that there are functions which will be executed by the city hall and the city board, and this will enhance a lot of services for delivery purposes. And I really want to support this. If it goes well the way it should, then even the municipalities that were gazetted recently will also have their semi-autonomy. I want to agree with my colleague, Honorable Komudo, that in future we will have these other municipalities also doing their functions on their own as babies of the city, because they are very young, but the city has been there before and has been very strong. So if we give them this semi-autonomous, I agree that it will really enhance a lot of services. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, Madam Speaker, let us agree on one thing. Centralizing things in the devolved function, in the devolved setup like this one, will not enhance service delivery. It is by making it down the best we can that we can really get services to our people. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Whip.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to comment and support this motion as brought by the Honorable Boyton to catch the MCA of Nyalenda, based on the prayers of Honorable Boyton. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Boyton has urged this House to pass this motion so as to mandate the County Executive Committee member responsible for the Department of Lands, Physical Planning, and Urban Development, and that of the Finance and Economic Planning, to consult the relevant stakeholders to facilitate the smooth transition of functions as said, Madam Speaker. And again, he has urged also the Department of the County Government through the CC of Finance to ensure that funds are transferred to the city board, which I believe we have vetted the members of the city board. And again, to direct the city board to develop a comprehensive policy, regulations, and guidelines to govern the provision of service within the jurisdiction of the city. And he has mentioned the Gazette notice. He has attached that Gazette notice to that effect. Madam Speaker, as a member of County Assembly representing Market Milimani Ward, I have experienced instances whereby there are incidents of duplication of duties, Madam Speaker, especially on the management of markets, which were done by the city, Madam Speaker. And there's an instance where the Department of Trade and Enterprise Development wrote a letter urging members of a certain market to conduct election and thereby dissolving an existing market committee. And Mr. Speaker, the same market members also petitioned the city manager to call for an election of the market. And the city manager also wrote a letter to that effect. Madam Speaker, this issue brought issues in the said market because there were two conflicting letters coming from the same county government of Kisumu. Madam Speaker, I believe this law will cure certain those issues. Madam Speaker, on the issue of infrastructural development, we have seen instances whereby the Department of Physical Planning and Urban Development give clearance to developers to develop a certain plot within the city. And Mr. Speaker, the city management also gives the same letter to a different developer within the county government of Kisumu. And I believe, Madam Speaker, this law will cure us. This motion will cure those instances by not only directing the county government of Kisumu to set up a semi-autonomous management of the city, but I believe by the prayers as highlighted by the Honorable Rakwach, Madam Speaker, there is no clear act. And I believe this motion will give the cabinet under the governor to come out with a clear guideline. If not, establishing a bill to create an act which I believe will manage the city. Because if you look at Public Finance Management Act, Section 182, Madam Speaker, gives clearly how the CEC Finance should establish accounting entities. And Madam Speaker, this law is a prayer. It's a prayer to the county government of Kisumu, if not to come up with a bill or use the necessary laws, the existing laws, to establish the semi-autonomy management of the city. And it has clearly, the Honorable Boyton has clearly indicated in his prayers how he wants the county government to manage such facilities, Madam Speaker. And it will not stop even the recently established urban areas to come out, the county assembly, to come up with clear laws or clear legislation to manage this recently established urban areas within the city. Because those urban areas are also experiencing the same predicament which the city is facing. We recently initiated the Katito, Aero Town Council, Muroni Town Councils, and there are no funds, Madam Speaker. Even the town administrators in those areas have not even funds to even hire casual workers, Madam Speaker. And the areas, the MCs like Komudo, have been always been complaining that Moroni, during rainy seasons, there are no even workers, casual workers, to slash those areas. So I believe this is a roadmap, not only to the city, but to other areas like Ombewa, Maseno, Muroni, Aero, Katito, name them, Madam Speaker. So this is a roadmap and an indication that we should have a clear management of the city by also transferring funds and transferring responsibilities and functions so that we avoid duplications of function, which we have witnessed as representative of those areas. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I support this motion. Thank you.
Honorable Alando. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise to support this motion of giving semi-autonomy to the city. All along, we've referred our Kisumu city as a Europe, and looking at it, it has not reached to the level where the Europe is, because if you walk around the city in the night, most of the electricities have gone off and the city has no funds to operate or even maybe to do the repair for those lights. Even if you walk to the markets which are within the city, those markets are so pathetic. And if you are within those markets, and those markets are in Kisumu city where they refer as Europe, it's really far from the Europe that they are talking about. Same to the estates within the city. Estates within the city, some of them, the roads are not even, there's no maintenance because the city has no funds. And if we give them this semi-autonomous, I think they'll be able to manage the city with the funds that they'll be collecting from within the city. And because of that, I join my fellow members in supporting the motion. Thank you. Honorable Obaso.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think honorable members has exhausted their points, so I call the mover to reply. Thank you.
Boyton, you've been called upon to reply.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, may I first and foremost start by thanking honorable members of this House who have contributed positively, and one single member who poked holes on this motion. It is indeed in order to give divergent opinion, and those kinds of opinions sometimes, Madam Speaker, are like open eye. Madam Speaker and honorable members, devolution is all about transferring functions to the lowest level. Madam Speaker, has been mentioned by some members that it's just the other day that this House approved some municipalities. The 5 municipalities, Kombera Bodi, Maseno Holo, Aero Awasi, Muruni Koru, and Katito Papunditi. But if you look at these municipalities, you will find that ghosts. Nothing is happening in this municipality. That means, Honorable Speaker, as we give City of Kisumu semi-autonomous status, we are projecting into looking at these municipalities and give them some sort of semi-autonomy so that service delivery is felt to the last man on the ground. Madam Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Pamela, even though it must be very clear that the revenue streams that she may have talked about, the city will not do physical revenue collections from these streams, but the board will still be in charge of revenue collection in consultation with the city. I want to thank Honorable Sami. And it is in this ward that something funny happened just the other day. There was a fire break in an area called Manyata Arabs. And when the city was called to arrest the fire, the reply was that there is no fuel. What kind of a situation are we finding ourselves in? If the city cannot even afford to fuel the engines, then I think the remedy to this kind of problem is giving the city of Kisumu semi-autonomous status so that it may be having funds to do the service delivery. As been mentioned by Honorable Kumudo, I think that was my first statement. The municipalities are dead. We need to revive them. Thank you, Honorable Kumudo. The municipalities that were conferred in this house must be operationalized in the near future. The whole idea is to improve services, just as was mentioned by Honorable Ajumbo. And this kind of services include street lightenings within the city, garbage collection within the city, drainage works within the city, and such kind of services. This will only be made functionable if the city can manage and have its own funds. Honorable Ruben Rakwach, your sentiments was highly appreciated, because at times you find members seeking for a response from a department. They are told that the function had been transferred to the city. You go to the city tells you that they have no funds for allocation for such kind of activities. The semi-autonomous status will cure this kind of problem, because it is also been mentioned that they are going to work in collaboration. Madam Speaker, Honorable Ouko talked about conflicts within the department. It is mentioned in the motion that the city of Kisumu will collaborate with all relevant departments for a smooth transition. It's not a matter of war here, but it's a matter of service delivery, and I believe the other departments will work together so that the people of Kisumu County get the best service delivery. The approval was done in a cabinet meeting, and that is also in the last page of this document. And the resolution of the cabinet meeting was that the county executive committee member approved all the activities to be undertaken by various county government organs, including the city, the public service board, among others, to ensure compliance within the minimum access condition for KUSP 2. Further, the county executive committee approved payment of multi-year KUSP 1 project spending bills from the pending bills budgeted allocation in the financial year 2023-2024. Madam Speaker, this is very crucial because the donors, the World Bank wanted the city to have its own account so that the money could be managed at the city level and they held accountable for those funds. And in that spirit, that is why the semi-autonomous status will give the city a way of opening its own account, whereby if there are some donor fundings, will be directed to this account for proper accountability. I also want to thank Honorable Moses Ochele. Moses Ochele brought a very important aspect, and that aspect will lead us. I also thank Honorable Seth Kanga mentioned it. This will lead us in terms of enacting bills and putting laws in order that will make sure that there is no conflict between Department of Land, Physical Planning and Housing and Urban Development, together with the Department of Finance, Physical Planning, so that there are no conflicts among their operations. Madam Speaker, Honorable James Omolo, the developers of the devolution wanted the services to be felt at the grassroots level. And that is why we insist that moving forward, we will empower other municipalities so that the services are felt, as I had said. The transition between the CEC of Finance and the CEC of Lands will be a smooth transition, and I believe the queue at the Finance Department will also reduce, whereby the paying point is going to be not only one, but two for the contractor. This will ease work at the Department of Finance. Madam Speaker, I want to thank honorable members, and I want to thank you for giving us this time to debate upon this motion, and I reply. Thank you.
Honorable members, a motion on the approval of semi-autonomous status of the city of Kisumu has been moved, seconded, and debated upon. I therefore want to put a question of adoption that may, as many are of the opinion that the city of Kisumu be given a semi-autonomous status, say aye. Aye. May, as many as the opinion, say nay. The ayes have it. And the motion to confer a semi-autonomous status to the city of Kisumu is hereby approved today, Wednesday, 25th September 2024 at 16:24 hours. And I want to direct that the motion together with the answered be prepared and forwarded to the relevant department for necessary action. Next order.
Madam Speaker and honorable members, there is no any other business in the order paper.
Honorable members, there being any other business, the House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 26th September 2024 at 2:30 p.m.